Hello, beautiful friends. Chapter 1 Allow. What does it mean to allow? Allow thoughts of worthiness. Allow my imagination to run freely without judgment. When I think of what allow means to me, a few things come to mind: fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of acceptance, fear of support, fear of confrontation, fear of backlash. A theme that has been coming up for me lately has been my heart. I wonder what it would be like to open my heart to receiving and to welcoming in love. Allowing myself to truly open my heart. Allowing myself to be everything that I am. The freedom to take the chains off that have held me back from being everything that I am, whether that be friendships or relationships, societal pressures or societal norms, or even myself. Loving myself on the days I feel unlovable or unpretty. Loving myself with or without makeup. When I have gained 5 pounds or I have a breakout on my face, disassociating my worth from my outer appearance and my physical body. Not only loving myself on the days that I feel the prettiest or sexiest or skinniest, but loving myself always, including what I see to be as my flaws. The most beautiful parts of me exist inside of me, in my soul, in my heart, in my being. Accepting myself for who I am and appreciating my journey enough to allow myself the courage to share it with others. Allowing myself to shine in my light without guilt, to know that I am qualified and worthy and capable. Coming to terms with knowing that the only true validation I need comes from within. The validation I have been searching for externally cannot be found outside of myself. Allowing myself to practice the shift in perspective will give me freedom to be exactly who I am and not who I think I should be. Allow myself to be something and someone outside of my ability to get great grades and to do well in school. I can think back to being a child and having the idea of education and the importance of it ingrained in me. My father, who grew up in South Boston during the forced busing, did not have the same opportunities or accessibility to education as my sister and I did. Therefore, he perceived education as extremely imperative. Knowledge is power, he would say. I had this innate ability to retain information and regurgitate it for the test, exam, or paper and receive very good grades. It was all about the grades for me. I wanted to be the best and get the best grades. I somehow associated my confidence and abilities with the grades I would receive. Who I was as an academic was a large part of my identity. Meanwhile, once I would take the exam, write the paper, and move on to a new subject, it was almost as if I hadn't even recalled what I learned. I retained it all for the short term, but forgot it all for the long term. But as long as I could get the grades, I would get the scholarship to go to a great college, and I could make my father proud. See, the thing is, my father would have been proud of me no matter what I chose to do, but I didn't see it that way back then. I was the first to graduate college on both sides of my family. Needless to say, it was a huge deal. School was everything to me. It was where I felt the most safe and confident. It is something I always had control over. It was something I was good at. It was a crutch. It was the safe bet to the life I dreamed of, or so I thought. I grew up with this idea in my head that if I could get the grades and the degrees, I would somehow live the life I had always dreamed of. Meanwhile, not knowing what that life even looked like for myself. I had been living my life the way I thought my father would want me to live, the way I knew my family wanted me to live, the way society was telling me to live. I did the right thing. I always did the right thing. The right thing according to everyone but myself. The right thing according to what I was taught both from my family and from society as what would lead me to success and the life I had dreamed of having. It wasn't until my solo backpacking trip to Europe in 2015 that I was able to sit back and ask myself, what does Kristen want? And boy, did it feel good to wake up every single day on my trip and ask myself that same question, and day in and day out, have the ability to choose freely without constraint. I had been so accustomed to putting everyone else first, I never really considered what I wanted. I had never felt more at ease than in those moments. The pressure was off. For the first time, I became a priority in my own life. Allowing others not to like me and being okay with it. Not taking it personally. I have always wanted to be liked, admired, and respected by others so badly, I never really realized when I was giving too much of myself to someone or to something. Also, allowing myself to accept that it is okay if not every single person likes me or vibes with me. As I continue to evolve and grow, it is acceptable for relationships to end or change. Allowing myself to let go of what no longer serves me to protect my energy and my peace. I want to allow myself to be comfortable with the idea of balance in all relationships, whether it is my relationship with others or my relationship with myself, internally or externally. I tend to be an extremist one way or the other. I am either all in or all out, and there is no real middle ground for me. I want to allow myself to take back the control I have placed in the hands of others and work on loving myself so damn much that nothing or no one can break that security. I want to allow myself to feel love even when I am at the lowest or weakest points. Being okay with not being okay has never been okay for me. If I can allow myself to be vulnerable even when it is tough, I can be free. I can open myself up to love and support not only from myself but from others too. I want to allow others to support me and to be there for me instead of suffering in silence or trying to do it all alone. In my life, I have always had a difficult time asking others for help. Since I was younger, I have always been super independent and have done things on my own without help from others. I don't know if it is that I am afraid to trust others to do the same job or to care as much as I do, or if it comes down to letting go of control and putting myself out there to be vulnerable and to take a chance on someone or something without knowing what the outcome might be. I also think about allowing myself to be exactly who I am, allowing myself to live in my truth, be proud of who I am and where I come from, and feel secure in being me. I think about what it would feel like to completely allow myself to silence the voices and noises around me and to truly look within, and how much that can and will transform my life. Allow my parents to be who they are. Allow my dad to live his life as he wishes instead of trying to change him. It isn't helping anyone, including myself. I need to be understanding and stop getting frustrated so I can experience full joy and stop worrying all the time. I know that the only person I have control over is myself, yet this is still an obstacle I face. I just wish he would take better care of himself, but that's not my responsibility. It's his. All I can do is be myself. All I can do is lead by example. All I can do is control how I react to the things happening around me. But at the end of the day, all I have control over is me, is myself. Allowing myself to let go of the shame I've carried from my mom of where I come from and fear of being judged. Allow abundance in my life. Allow wealth in my life, not just material wealth, but all the small miracles in each day, the joy, the love, the laughter, the beauty. Allow the magic in my life to unfold despite not having a clear defined path or destination, and being okay with the unknown and having unwavering faith that all is working out for my greatest and highest good. I want to allow myself to see the divine at work all around me. I want to get quiet enough with myself to notice the signs around me. I want to be open enough to be aware of the synchronicities and the divine at work in my life daily. The signs are always all around us. Will we pay attention long enough to see them? Will we be willing enough to see what they are trying to say to us? Recently, I looked down and I saw a big thing. Was it a bug? Was it a spider? Was it a bee? But it wasn't flying. This happened not once, but 3 separate times. All of a sudden, it was as if everywhere I went, I saw honeybees. This happened consistently for a few weeks. I believe if something keeps showing up over and over, it is important to listen to it and look for the meaning of the sign. I looked into it and found information on having the bee as your spirit guide. The bee is a reminder to trust in miracles. Their language of love is mindful service. As they go from flower to flower, that progression enriches the world. Bee people often go on to be motivational speakers, teachers, healers, light workers for the greatest global village. Another message from Bee Spirit has to do with working in groups, networking, and community. Bee is not a loner and calls all of us to get off life's benches and jump into the tribe with true abandon. Come to find out, bees are not designed to be able to fly, but they adapted because they really wanted to fly. It may seem trivial or silly to view bees entering my world as a sign, but I don't. I see it as a gift, a blessing to be open enough in my life at this time, to be aware of the signs and to be drawn to looking into what they mean and how they are relative to my life. Pay attention to the signs. They're always around us, but it's only when we choose to see that we can gain something from them. I had my first Reiki session with Jennifer on May 10th, and something magical happened. Something definitely shifted in me after that session. This experience was only my second energy healing session ever. I had no idea what to expect going into it, which is why it was even more powerful. I had nothing to compare it to. During my session, the goddess Saraswati, the Hindu goddess of wisdom, came through. One of the most beautiful parts is that the studio owner and practitioner, Jennifer, used to have a store and happened to have Saraswati there and gave it to me after my session. Another sign. Goddess Saraswati is said to possess the powers of speech, wisdom, and learning. Saraswati is regarded as the dispeller of chaos and confusion. She is said to bring into form that which has not yet been made manifest. A thought, an imagining, a dream, a series of musical notes, a passion. She is the goddess of music, art, and wisdom, and acts much like a muse to inspire and reveal one's inner landscape of pre-creation, such that it becomes an outward expression of beauty in the world. She is the holder of wisdom. She is the inspirator. She invokes a flow of fertile energy as the artist or contemplator becomes an open vessel to allow the creative life force to flow through and spark insight, free expression, and deeply passionate inspiration, and new life as artistic expression is born. Saraswati is associated with the second chakra of nourishment, to self and to others, the liberator of the soul. She is truly the one who flows, the one who brings flow to your deepest essence and most authentic gifts, such that they flow through you to seed the world in exactly the way the world needs. In some interpretations, Sara is translated as essence, and Sva is translated to self. Thus, the name Saraswati would translate to she who helps realize the essence of self, or she who reconciles the essence with oneself. During this session, I allowed myself to connect with the younger Kristen, to see her for all she desires, her purpose, her soul's purpose. In this session, I started to embrace my femininity and open my heart. And that is the end of chapter 2, my loves.